But Shadows, I do want to bring you in, brother.
I'm ready.
In your opinion, being a Gears fan, being someone that has been a part of the brand since inception, this has always been looked upon as a crown jewel for Xbox because it was exclusive, right? And in the last couple of days, you've had a lot of people in the community, a lot of Xbox guys that were kind of on the razor's edge of a quote unquote abandoning the brand because Xbox is ruined and Xbox is not going to do. Why make consoles? So the easy question here, I don't know if there's an easy answer, is does Gears going to PlayStation, and not just this Gears, I believe that it's going to be Gears of War E-Day that is going to launch day and date on multiple platforms, including PlayStation. Does this somehow ruin the brand for you?
No, polar opposite. This is the best thing to ever happen to the Gears of War franchise since Microsoft acquired it. Yeah, this is the second best decision ever. Obviously, there's so much to unpack here, right? Gears of War as a franchise is almost 20 years old. I played Gears of War 1, my first match of Gridlock. I was an 11-year-old boy. I'm 30 today. This will be my third time playing Gridlock in 3 different types of Gears of War 1 experiences. Yeah, so the Gears of War franchise is 20 years old. It is a third-person cover-based shooter, one of a kind. Not a single third-person cover-based shooter exists except Gears of War. That's why I've never moved on, because there's no other games like it. It's only Gears of War, and I love it. That's the reason why I love it. Literally, simply as that, third-person cover-based. Give me a Nash shotgun, a little wall bounce, and I'll play that for the rest of my life. The thing with Gears of War is it's a super niche game. It's you either like it or you don't, and the multiplayer is even more niche than the story. And so, all of these newer people that are also going to be experiencing Gears of War for the first time, this is by far, without a doubt, the hardest console shooter of all time. It has by far the highest, deepest learning curve ever. And it's like, if you don't even understand, obviously, the basic fundamentals of Gears of War, you're going to need to run through the campaign 20 times, get the insane achievements, or, get all of the trophies. And I really do hope they also have seriously get 10,000 kills in versus multiplayer. That needs to obviously still be in the game, so that all of these people have to play the game potentially for 2 years plus to even at least get seriously. Yeah, because to try and get 10,000 multiplayer kills is going to take you. I think on Gears of War Ultimate Edition, I think it took me maybe 6 months, and that's me playing it day in, day out, 12 hours plus every day. King of the Hill, 50 to 100 kills a match. I think there's online, I see, especially on YouTube, I see there's a good content scene for trophies and platinums, I think it's called. And so hopefully if Gears of War Reloaded with the platinum trophy is also you need to get seriously, which is get 10,000 versus multiplayer kills, then, all of those PlayStation guys who want the trophies and the platinum are going to have to play Reloaded for at least 2+ years, which obviously even goes into E-Day. But yeah, you talk about the Gears of War sales and stuff like that. And also, obviously, the importance of the Gears of War franchise going to PlayStation 5. I think, again, this is one of the best decisions ever, just for the longevity, the health, the player base, just the overall Gears of War IP. We spoke about earlier about Netflix. If you watch the Gears of War movie on Netflix, if you watch the adult film animated series in the future, and all you have is a PlayStation 5, then obviously, if, Xbox and Gears of War were still held back as an exclusive, then that doesn't really work, if I'm going to watch the Netflix Gears of War movie and all I have is the PS5 for my entire family, Gears of War needs to be on there. They need to be able to go from watching the Netflix movie to go pick up the next Gears of War game or all of the Gears of War games that exist. Obviously, the reason why they're starting off with the Gears of War 1 and Gears of War 1 only, and the main reason for even recreating the original trilogy and doing all what they're doing is literally more so for the multi-platform push for the Gears of War franchise, more than it is for the Xbox fans. But that's why, obviously, they're giving away Gears of War Reloaded as a free digital copy for free. Obviously, if you're a long-time Gears fan, Xbox fan, you should have had Gears of War Ultimate Edition in the last 10 years, whether that's on Xbox One or on the Windows 10 PC version. So obviously the main reason why this is all happening and why this is the best thing ever to obviously see Gears of War go to PlayStation, and the reason why it's obviously Gears 1 only, is because for the story, the story and the narrative of the Gears of War universe is the whole reason, and It explains why every decision revolved around Gears of War is happening is because of the Gears of War story. In order for the Gears of War franchise to be up there is one of the best gaming franchises of all time, along the likes of Minecraft and Fortnite, which is playable on every screen, every device, every platform, which Gears of War deserves to be. Like, as a Gears of War fan, the thing that I care about playing Gears of War for 20 years is I want to be playing Gears of War for another 20 years. And so obviously what can Microsoft and Xbox do to ensure that Gears of War potentially has the most players, the most customers, the most fans that it can globally, no matter where you play, where you live, what country you're from, what language you speak. You know, everybody just have that same love for Gears of War through the game just being available everywhere. I did pull up some, statistics from Gears of War 1. Gears of War 1 was obviously a commercial success, if you did forget. If we talk about how is it obviously going to impact PlayStation and the fact that it's never been on there for 19 years, PlayStation 5 potentially could be getting a 2006 happening in August. If we go back to November 2006, Gears of War sold 1 million copies in its first week. In 2006, it was 1 million copies sold and over 3 million copies in the first 10 weeks. It was the fastest selling video game of 2006, the second most played game on Xbox Live during 2007, and obviously one of the most best-selling games on the Xbox 360. The fact that obviously PlayStation 5 have never experienced this, they are basically going to be getting that in August. We're 3 months away from that. So it's like, even if they replicated what Gears of War did back in the Xbox 360 days, to me, honestly, I feel like Gears of War should sell like 1 million, like 2 million copies on PS5, especially because they love their third-person games, and all of their third-person games have zero multiplayer experiences, really. So you give them, something that they're kind of used to in the third-person range, but it has like the full package. We're talking full campaign story narrative with a Thursday's multiplayer. And, Crispy spoke about earlier about, why obviously the multiplayer had to be included. And obviously I speak about, obviously the story is like the story is where the love is for the Gears of War like franchise, but the multiplayer is where the passion is, and obviously where the longevity and the heart of Gears of War is. Because once you play the story, you've played it, and then obviously like you're either going to move on or you, as Gears fans do, we obviously just live it out in the multiplayer. So like we kind of needed that multiplayer, and the fact that it's going multi-platform like push, like this is just the best thing ever. As I said, I'm from the UK, struggling on Gears 5-6 years later. Can't find any matches, unless I play like a super laggy experience on like 300 ping. So just more platforms, more players, more opportunities for people to get Gears of War. And we speak about earlier as well, the sales and stuff like that. Like I said, realistically, Gears of War should be the best-selling Xbox game to go over to PlayStation, without a doubt. Until, obviously, maybe Halo. But, Gears of War Reloaded compared to Forza, it should clear. In my opinion, I'm obviously biased, right? I don't play Forza. All biased, but realistically, the success of the Gears of War IP and how well it did, obviously, on the Xbox 360 during its prime, like there's no reason for that to not be replicated today on PlayStation 5. On board with obviously everything that it does on the PC, and then obviously the Xbox community getting to embrace it as well. And it's like, I find it, I'm in a very different like position as like a Gears of War fan. Like, I don't really have this loyalty to consoles, and I don't really get the whole console war situation. And it's like, for me as a Gears of War fan, I just want what's best for Gears, Like,
great point of view, man.
Going to PlayStation means nothing to me except only good things, because to me it's just like, well, it means I get to play against more people. I get a bigger player base. I potentially obviously get, as a content creator, more viewers, more people, more fans.
There you go,
whatever.
brother. That's what I'm talking about. Get you to the 100,000. Yes.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. But, just for the greater good of the Gears of War franchise, the IP, longevity, health, everything, like, it's just nothing but, nothing but wins, man. And if this means that obviously Gears of War can go on for the next 50 years, then I'm all for it, right? And you speak about obviously like what does Xbox have going forward if obviously games like Forza, Gears of War, and it's going to happen, Halo, go to other platforms. It's like, obviously, what does Xbox have today? And you just look at obviously the Xbox ecosystem, Game Pass, and C Money spoke about how they got to pay $40 a piece over there on PlayStation. If the Gears of War franchise is going forward with what we spoke about in terms of, we've got Gears of War Reloaded, right? That's $40. You got Gears of War E-Day, the prices have changed. So that's $80. We're at $120 right now. You drop a Gears of War 2 Reloaded and 3 Reloaded and future $40 a piece. That's 4 Gears of War games, the original trilogy, and just E-Day, that every PlayStation 5 player has to spend $200 each to experience those games. Well, obviously, if you're an Xbox fan, you can just be a part of Game Pass and it's in there day one, right? And obviously, to start it off, you get a free copy of Gears of War Reloaded if you're a long-time Gears fan and Xbox player anyway. So, like, realistically, if you look at it like that, if by 2031, if you're on Xbox and you're a Gears of War fan, you can obviously buy the game. You can get access to it via Game Pass. Or if you're a PlayStation 5 player, in 6 years, you spent $200 to experience the original Gears of War trilogy, potentially all reloaded, plus Gears of War E-Day, right? So, and you know, that's just obviously more potentially like financial support for the Gears of War IP overall, like how much, you know, the coalition and game development and stuff like that